So let's do the chanting immediately. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Tudayambi buddham saranam gacchami. Tudayambi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tudayambi sangham saranam gacchami. Tadayambi buddham saranam gacchami. Tadayambi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tadayambi sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayatam gati gati parasam gati buddhi soham. Tayatam gati parasam gati buddhi soham. Tayatam gati parasam gati buddhi soham. And so now time for some meditation. And remind you that today we start the new subject of commentary on Master Atisha's Heart Advice, and some, you could say, auxiliary teachings too, some other teachings from another text. Today I will recite them to you or read them to you in their entirety, as well as the second shorter text, and then I'll start to give commentary on each one. Just let you know, there are 47 stanzas. I mentioned 30 odd last week, so I miscounted. Or didn't count at all, actually, just guessed. But they're really short. Some of them are like, most of them are like one sentence, really. So they're maybe not even stanzas. So really kind of short, just, one line, two lines on a foolscap piece of paper. And but some of them have to go in depth with, other ones not as much. And we'll see how quickly we get through them. I have no idea. Okay, so there's a little bit over 50 odd, maybe 55 altogether And some of them, like I said, maybe 10 a week, the other ones maybe only a few. So that's it. I did have a look. I told you I was going to fly totally blind, which I am really, but I did have a look to see the other day, just to see if we can, how long it possibly would take, maybe a few months. Okay. So get yourself comfortable for some meditation to release the tension in the body. So bring your mind inside your body and release the tension from the tips of your toes, all around your feet, your lower legs and knees, and the upper legs into the midsection, the front, sides, and back of your upper torso. To your shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, and to the top of your head. Now briefly scan your body again to see if there's any leftover tension that you can release. If there is, then do it. And now bring your focus to the tip of your nose initially, and let's follow the feeling of the breath. So placing your mind on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, goes past your throat, it's quite cool on the way in, past your bronchial area, all the way into your lungs as the lungs fill with the air. The abdomen rises, or stomach rises a little. As you breathe out, it drops a little due to the lungs compressing. The air going out the same way it came in, but it's a little bit warmer now as you breathe out, as it passes your throat. Breathing in and breathing out. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths. One in breath, one out breath is one, and so on. Don't count past 10. And if you get distracted on the way towards 10, then go back to one at that time. Remember, the focus is the breath, or the feeling of the breath. If thoughts arise or any mental activity whatsoever arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Also, don't try to force it away or try to deny it, but simply and naturally let it go as you replace your mind onto your breath. So replacing the mind, replacing the mind, working your way through the stages of meditation, utilizing the antidotes. And if your mind becomes dull or sleepy, then replace your mind onto your breath more brightly. Let's practice in silence like this for a little bit. So now we can feel pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness, utilizing the visualization technique of filling our whole being with white light, which represents the universal loving kindness. And also of utmost importance is the feeling of this loving kindness. Really fill yourself with this feeling. Really appreciate yourself, grateful, be respectful, friendly, so on. Fill yourself with so much universal loving kindness that it now overflows outwards from your heart center, your heart chakra, radiates outwards to your loved ones initially, fills them with the universal loving kindness in the form of the white light and feeling as well. And also includes strangers, those people you're indifferent towards, and enemies too. Have the wish that all of these three types of people from your own perspective have happiness and the causes of happiness, are free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and are peaceful. And so now let's radiate this loving kindness out further and further to all living beings now. Let's distance-wise, let's radiate it outwards, starting around your immediate area, to all the living beings that live in the waters, on the lands, fly through the air, whether they're born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or even through transformation, whether you can see them or not, whether you're even aware of them or not. To all sentient beings, radiate this universal loving kindness, filling them with the white light. And further throughout your whole state or county. And other states and counties throughout your whole country. And all of the countries throughout the world, as well as throughout all of the waterways, the oceans, and so on, down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. And beyond this planet and its atmosphere, throughout the whole solar system and the whole galaxy and even the universe, until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space. Whilst also being present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body, Chitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And so we'll get straight into it. First of all, I mentioned that if you want to know about Master Atisha, or full name Master Atisha Dipankara, then you can Google it, or you can look it up in books or something like that, okay? If you want to know about his life. So you can, what have I got coming up here? So you can look it up yourself. I'm sure there's more details than what I'll remember. I have heard this before. I have read it before, but it's quite a long time ago now. And of course, as mentioned many times before, it's more important to remember the teachings. Remember this advice. Remember these instructions, the Dharma teachings, rather than worry about somebody's autobiography or biography. Okay, so it's all in the past. But it's there. It gives us some confidence to know that his teachings, or that the teachings are given by an authentic master. Authentic, you could even say enlightened master. Okay, so remind you, he was apparently born in what is known these days as Bangladesh. And of course, in those days, it was part of India. And he traveled at some stage, I don't know when, what age, but he traveled to Tibet and gave teachings in Tibet, a lot of teachings, very instrumental in teaching the Dharma in Tibet. And therefore, his teachings continue to be used around the world by teachers such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, where when he was still alive, Lama Zopa, Master Sogyo Rinpoche. I think I attended some teachings from him to do with the Atisha's teachings. Okay, so anyway, that's it really. So what I'll do, like I said, is just read them to you. I don't have a printed copy of the shorter teachings, so I'll just look on my phone to do that. I'll probably print them out before we finish the commentaries, but who knows? Okay, so the advice from the great master Atisha. This was the translation of this version was done by Geshe Kelsang Gyatso and the New Academic Tradition. I took it off a friend of mine, Venerable Nirmalama, his teachings. Nirmalama lives in Nepal. Okay, so I took it off his Facebook page after asking his permission to do so. Okay, so the advice from Great Master Atisha. I'll just read it to you. I won't say this is number one, number two, and so on. Okay. Until you attain enlightenment, the spiritual teacher is indispensable. Therefore, rely upon the holy spiritual guide. Until you realize ultimate truth, listening is indispensable. Therefore, listen to the instructions of the spiritual guide. Since you cannot become a Buddha merely by understanding Dharma, practice earnestly with understanding. Avoid places that disturb your mind and always remain where your virtues increase. Until you attain stable realizations, worldly amusements are harmful. Therefore, abide in a place where there is no such distractions. Avoid friends who cause you to increase delusions, and rely upon those who increase your virtue. This you should take to heart. Since there is never a time when worldly activities come to an end, limit your activities. Dedicate your virtues throughout the day and night, and always watch your mind. Because you have received advice, whenever you are not meditating, always practice in accordance with what your spiritual guide says. If you practice with devotion, results will arise immediately, without your having to wait for a long time. If from your heart you practice in accordance with Dharma, both food and resources will come naturally to hand. Friends, the things you desire give no more satisfaction than drinking seawater. Therefore, practice contentment. Avoid all haughty, conceited, proud, and arrogant minds, and remain peaceful and subdued. Avoid activities that are said to be meritorious, but which in fact are obstacles to the Dharma. Profit and respect are nooses of the Maras, so brush them aside like stones on the path. Words of praise and fame serve only to beguile us. Therefore, blow them away as you would blow your nose. Since the happiness, pleasure, and friends you gather in this life last only for a moment, put them all behind you. Since future lives last for a very long time, gather up riches to provide for the future. You will have to depart, leaving everything behind, so do not be attached to anything. Generate compassion for lowly beings, and especially avoid despising or humiliating them. Have no hatred for enemies, and no attachment for friends. Do not be jealous of others' good qualities, but out of admiration adopt them yourself. Do not look for faults in others, but look for faults in yourself and purge them like bad blood. Do not contemplate your own good qualities, but contemplate the good qualities of others and respect everyone as a servant would. See all living beings as your father or mother and love them as if you were their child. Always keep a smiling face, a loving mind, and speak truthfully without malice. If you talk too much with little meaning, you will make mistakes. Therefore, speak in moderation, only when necessary. If you engage in many meaningless activities, your virtuous activities will degenerate. Therefore, stop activities that are not spiritual. It is completely meaningless to put effort into activities that have no essence. If the things you desire do not come, it is due to karma created long ago. Therefore, keep a happy and relaxed mind. Beware, offending a holy being is worse than dying. Therefore, be honest and straightforward. Since all the happiness and suffering of this life arise from previous actions, do not blame others. All happiness comes from the blessings of your spiritual guide, and therefore always repay his kindness. Since you cannot tame the minds of others until you have tamed your own mind, begin by taming your own mind. Since you will definitely have to depart without the wealth you have accumulated, do not accumulate negativity for the sake of wealth. Distracting enjoyments have no essence. Therefore, sincerely practice giving. Always keep pure moral I'll do that again. Always keep pure moral discipline, for it leads to beauty in this life and happiness hereafter. Since hatred is rife in these impure times, don the armor of patience, free from anger. You remain in samsara through the power of laziness. Therefore, ignite the fire of the effort of application. Since this human life is wasted by indulging in distractions, now is the time to practice concentration. Being under the influence of wrong views, you do not realize the ultimate nature of things. Therefore, investigate correct meanings. Friends, there is no happiness in this swamp of samsara, so move to the firm ground of liberation. Meditate according to the advice of your spiritual guide and dry up the river of samsaric suffering. You should consider this well, because it is not just words from the mouth, but sincere advice from the heart. If you practice like this, you will delight me, and you will bring happiness to yourself and others. I, who am ignorant, request you to take this advice to heart. This is the advice that the holy being, Venerable Atisha, gave to Venerable Changchub. Okay, so that's that one. And that's the main one we're working off in the title, really, of the commentary. Sort of the Master Atisha's heart advice. Now, I think I've only ever done this once before during the online classes. But where is it? Atisha 2. Okay, so if from your heart you practice in accordance with the Dharma, I think this is actually just I can see now, actually. This is just a snippet of what we just spoke about. So there is only 47 lines, okay? Some of you may be happy with that. So I think I can get rid of that one, actually. Excuse me, doing my cleaning in my, what do you call it? One of my Facebook, not Facebook, emails. So I didn't need that. So now we can have a look at it. I think maybe we started class a few minutes late today, so I'm hoping that we've still got probably about 12 minutes to go. I don't know why I took my glasses off. So let's have a look at this, okay? Hopefully you understood that. Sometimes the language used is pretty heavy duty in your face if you use modern language. But that's the way the masters spoke and during these times. And also this Janchopo was very advanced practitioner, that asked for this advice. And this was the advice that Master Atisha gave to him, one of his disciples. Okay, so don't be put off by anything, okay? Also, when it mentions spiritual guide and do this, that, the other, okay, this is your Dharma teacher. If you have the great opportunity to have enlightened teachers or teacher, that's fantastic. You should put into practice what the Dharma teachers say to do. Don't just believe it, because you have to test it, As the Buddha said, test as a goldsmith tests for real gold. Make sure these teachings are right. Make sure your understanding of the teachings and how to put them into practice are correct, and then do it. Don't see this as like a blind faith thing, right? So it's not like, oh, you've got to just believe your teacher. You've just got to believe the Lama or the guide or the guru or whatever you want to call. Just you don't have to do that. But after some time, you may gain some confidence. And so then you can disperse with some of it. Some of it you may not be able to understand yet. And so then you can go, oh, okay, he's not fooling me. Because what I've done so far is put the teachings into practice that he or she has given me. And it's been very helpful. And it's worked. So then maybe you can utilize the old saying, a leap of faith, to realize that, oh, okay, maybe these teachings that I can't understand yet, these are correct too, and I should put them into practice, the advice, So it's sort of like that simple example I've given you once before, which just came off the top of my head at that time, was that we can see that things are impermanent in front of us right now. The screen's impermanent. The pictures are constantly changing. We're always moving, right? Things around us, you can see it. Pick up a handkerchief or a tissue, put it down. Things are always changing. But we can't see in other countries. We can't even see outside this room we're in or this place we're at. But you can have a leap of faith that it is impermanent out there too. A very simple example. But also that all throughout the whole of the universe and beyond, all conditioned phenomena is impermanent. For instance, that's the example. So you can have some sort of leap of faith, but it has to be based on logical reasoning, okay? So the first one says, until you attain enlightenment, the spiritual guide is indispensable. Therefore, rely upon the holy spiritual guide. Now, what it means, we haven't attained enlightenment yet. You're right out there, Mum, coughing, very loud. Okay, have some water. So, sorry, interrupting, but we have not attained enlightenment yet. I think that's obvious to us. In fact, we say this prayer, don't we? Beginning generating bodhicitta and taking refuge. Until I'm enlightened, I take refuge, So we're not enlightened. We take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. In the Vajrayana tradition, you can add 3 more to that, and that's the guru, so the spiritual guide, and also the yidam, which is the meditation deity, the bodhisattva, for instance, that you are focusing on in your practices, without going into any more detail, and also kandro, which means dharmapala in Sanskrit, and that is the dharma protectors as well, which relate to your Vajrayana practice. But this can also just all come under the 3 jewels, under the Buddha and Buddhas, as well as Dharma and the Sangha. From the point of view of higher Sangha, bodhisattvas and so on, as well as ordinary Sangha, the monks, nuns, and lay practitioners, that's in human form. So we have not attained enlightenment. So obviously we need a teacher. It's like anything. You want to learn how to do mathematics, you have to learn from a math teacher. You want to learn how to be a mechanic, you have to learn from mechanic, from a mechanic teacher, from a master mechanic. The same with music. You want to learn an instrument, you have to learn from someone who knows how to play that instrument. At very least, they have to know how to do it better than you do, or they have to know about it more than you do at that time. The teacher should know more than the student, otherwise should reverse the roles, but also from a point of view of a master of something, somebody who really, really has the deep understanding of the Dharma, had many realizations, maybe even enlightened already, maybe enlightened Bodhisattva higher level, maybe Buddha in human form. We can't be sure of this, can we? I remember one time we left with Mum, and we left the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne after listening to the Dalai Lama teachings. Or we were going to leave, I should say. And the Dalai Lama said something like, don't just leave this nice feeling we have here in the arena, thousands of people. Don't just leave here now and then go and catch a tram or a bus. I can't remember, the train maybe. And then get on there and you see a rude person, somebody being really rude, you get angry at them. Don't do that. That could be a bodhisattva testing you after the teachings. That could be a Buddha testing you after the teachings. So often, we leave our, as I say jokingly as well, we leave our practice on the cushion, don't we? We leave our practice in the hall with the Dalai Lama giving teachings. And then we go off and get angry at someone else. So shouldn't do that, okay? Practice. Listen to the spiritual guide. We don't know who they are sometimes, but if they are teaching you well, then put the teachings into practice. If you don't understand the teachings, either just put into practice what you do understand, or ask questions, okay? So once again, I repeat, we have, I think, maybe only almost 5 minutes, okay? Until you attain enlightenment, the spiritual guide is indispensable. Of course, indispensable. Okay. If you're trying to light a fire and you've got some dry wood, and it's very difficult, I'd say, for the sun to shine onto the dry wood and for a fire to light. But if you have a magnifying glass, and then you put this magnifying glass in between where the sun is directly and just near the wood, you can light a fire. So the spiritual guide or the Dharma teacher is like that magnifying glass. The Dharma is represented, the Buddha Dharma is represented by the sun, and then the heat. And of course, us as practitioners, we're like the wood there. We want to light the fire of Dharma in this example. I don't know what text or scripture that's from, but that's from the Buddhist teachings or commentary on the Buddhist teachings, that example. So indispensable. Therefore, rely upon the Holy Spiritual Guide. Number 2 says, until you realize ultimate truth, listening is indispensable. Therefore, listen to the instructions of the spiritual guide. So this is utilizing the wisdom of hearing. So gathering understanding and wisdom from the wisdom of hearing. Then utilizing your ability to contemplate. And so the wisdom of contemplation. Once you come to understanding, absorbing your mind with this understanding. We need to listen to the Dharma teachings. Of course, these days, in the past as well, had some texts, some scriptures and so on. So reading can come under this title of hearing. More so these days, we have access to audio teachings, video teachings, books on the internet as well as hard copy. You can sort of research something on Google, for instance, and come up to some understanding. So this all comes under that. But really have a lot of respect for the teacher. I'm not saying that now because I'm a so-called teacher, okay? Just because that will help you to understand. Having respect for the teacher and appreciation and so on. And then eventually putting the teachings into practice that you are given, that come from the Buddha, of course. So listen to the instructions of the spiritual guide. Next one, since you cannot become a Buddha merely by understanding the Dharma, practice earnestly with understanding. Once again, 3 wisdom tools, put into practice these 3 wisdom tools of hearing, contemplating, meditating, and then into your daily life, put these teachings. You can't just have them on a piece of paper. You can't even just have them from your memory. From the memory, that's fantastic. Piece of paper, that's fantastic, because then you can access them, but you need to know what they mean, really, and know how to put them into practice and then actually do it. Otherwise, it's just like having a beautiful book, just like having beautiful thoughts and a great memory of wonderful teachings, but not utilizing it. You have to utilize the Dharma teachings. And so this is very important. So it's only 1 minute to go. So I'll read those 3 to you. So we got 3 done today, which is what I wanted to do. Until you attain enlightenment, the spiritual guide is indispensable. Therefore, rely upon the holy spiritual guide. Until you realize ultimate truth, listening is indispensable. Therefore, listen to the instructions of the spiritual guide. Since you cannot become a Buddha merely by understanding Dharma, that is Dharma teachings, practice earnestly with understanding. Put these precious teachings into practice. Okay. So I rejoice in your goodness. I want to say that so I don't get cut off before I do this time. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Put these teachings into practice, really enjoy yourself while you do so. Okay? Don't be hard on yourself, but also don't be lazy. And study and practice and share the Dharma to the best of your abilities. Like I said, I rejoice in your meritorious goodness always, from the past,